Hey guys, I'm Joe Klemczewski, founder of the Diet Doc, here with Dr. Kori Propst, our wellness director and health psychologist. And we're going to be talking about some motivational mastery tips today regarding training and exercise and all the things that people throw into their typical New Year's resolutions. So we're going to kind of pick things apart and see if we can give you guys some tips and behaviors that could help sustain that and make it a big part of a successful year.
Yeah, Joe, I have 4 strategies that I'd like to go over for everyone. And we're now, what, 2 weeks? Are we on week 2? We're in week 2 of the new year. I have to look at my calendar.
But I had to I don't know what day it is.
It's day 7 of the new year. And so within 6 to 8 weeks, everyone will lose their resolve and just say, screw it. You know, it was a good idea, but not something I really want to keep doing or putting the effort into for the rest of my life. So I'd like to give people 4 tips for avoiding that response. And it has to do with exercise training. And maybe one of the first things I should say is that if that was one of your goals going into the new year, to begin an exercise program or pick up an exercise program a little more frequently, maybe exercise isn't even the right word to use. Language is really powerful. I have clients who, they hear the word exercise and it's like, it's a bad word in their worlds. Training, that sounds way too hard and arduous and uncomfortable. And so I encourage you to pick a word that sounds nice to you. I have one client who uses healthy movement as a phrase for, you know, doing something good for her body and her mind. But the first thing I would say, Joe, is that everything counts in terms of movement. The benefits of moving your body, there are so many of them. And I think what a lot of people get into is comparing what one person is doing to what another person is doing and thinking that they need to do that too in order for it to work or to be at all beneficial. Even my clients who have, you know, they've had a regular exercise program, but then something happens within their lives and, you know, they need to learn how to be a little bit more flexible and they can't do what they did before, have a difficult time going from, say they're training an hour a day and now they're only able to train 20 minutes a day. They have a hard time thinking that it's even worth it at that point. And it really is. All of it counts. So I think the other things that get in the way, especially for new movers, is that, you know, there are various excuses like, I don't have time, or I hate the gym, or it's so boring, or I hate sweating. I don't want to sweat. Okay, well, guess what, guys? You don't have to sweat in order for it to be beneficial, okay? You don't have to do things that are boring. You know, that's another one of the tips we're going to go over. You don't have to go to the gym for this to be beneficial for you. You don't have to lift weights either. And the time thing, let's move right into number 2. It has everything to do with thinking of exercise as a ladder and scaffolding from the bottom up. So we're starting at rung number 1. If you're not doing anything, how about a 5-minute walk? You know, and or then thinking about going up and down the stairs of your house as exercise. A lot of people are tracking their steps right now, and it's paying dividends because now they have a little bit of accountability, and it's kind of fun because they can, you know, they can kind of create little competitions with their friends too. In doing that, in just moving, that's just walking. And I say just walking, but I don't mean it's just walking. It's walking, it's movement, it's getting your heart rate up a little bit. You know, when we look at how many calories we burn just sitting, there's a significant difference when we're more active and moving. You know, when we get up out of our chair to even go into the kitchen to get something to eat, we're doubling the amount of calories that we're burning in that period of time. So look at it as scaffolding from a, you know, a mental health perspective, and from a psychological perspective. We are, you know, if we're starting on that bottom rung and say we're doing 5 minutes for 2 weeks, and then we increase it to 10 minutes, and then we increase it to 15, whatever we're doing, what we're doing is we're building competence. And this also builds motivation. Motivation comes from acting, not waiting to feel motivated. That energy is driven through taking the action. And then what we're doing too is we're building our sense of self-efficacy, which is the belief that we can actually do it. A lot of us are sitting around not thinking that we even can right now. Well, try it, see what happens. Try 5 minutes. Don't go be that weekend warrior where you go out for a 9-hour hike with friends. If you're not doing anything, you're going to feel miserable then, and you way increase your chances of giving up. So starting on that bottom rung. The third thing, Joe, also has to do with psychological motivation. And that's that rather than focusing on that ultimate outcome of exercise, or looking at exercise only as a tool for losing weight or changing my body in some way, my physique, focusing on the feeling that the exercise provides immediately for you. So maybe you go for that 5-minute walk and you sit back down at your desk and you're like, whoa, I have much better focus now and clarity. Or as you're progressing, you're noticing that you're kinder to your friends and your family. Okay. You're feeling a little bit more confident. Maybe you're engaging in some exercise or movement that, you know, has you being more social. You're doing some type of group exercise. You know, now you feel more connected. You feel this sense of belonging, as we've talked about, Joe. And, you know, that's one of our key basic psychological needs, is feeling like we belong. And that social aspect is really important for a lot of people in terms of their movement and sticking with something, because they have a level of accountability. The fourth thing, Joe, is to find a form of exercise that you actually enjoy. I think when a lot of people get started, and this is why gym memberships skyrocket at the first of the year, is because everyone thinks that the way to exercise is to go to the gym, get on the treadmill, ride the stationary bike, go to a spinning class, whatever it is. Well, we know that that doesn't last, because people aren't finding that fun. They're not finding it engaging. I have clients who love Zumba. That is their primary form of exercise, that dancing, and they're doing it with other people. I have others who love jazzercise. Others who their primary form of exercise is walking. Others who run, others who lifting weights is their favorite thing. That's what they like to do most of the time. And if they're like me, they just are in love with cycling. So all of us need to be willing to try new things before we decide to completely give up, because the one thing is boring, or it's taking up too much time, or we just can't get into it, or we haven't found a way for it to work, or it's too hard on our bodies. Listen to those excuses, but take the fact that there is an excuse as just a cue to ask some different questions about, well, what might be a better option?
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I think the only thing I have to offer is the reason I don't have anything to offer to this conversation. And what I mean by that is training is probably the most central thing, self-delusion, joy, pleasure of my life. And it's probably one of the most consistent things. I started formal training almost 40 years ago. And It's something that gives me such acute pleasure because I love to move. I love the feeling of being healthy. I just, whether it's the dopamine, the oxygen, the feeling that I'm just doing something that's self-improvement based. Yeah. But then I also have intellectualized over the course of almost 40 years the benefits. I mean, I know why this is good for me. And so there's never a point in my life where I say, oh gosh, I wish I would have trained this week. I just got too busy. I find a way to train. That's my point of spirituality, if I could even use that word. So for people who struggle with it, I get that we all have things we struggle with. Mm-hmm. This is so central to what we are as human beings. I mean, the one central thing we could all agree on is we have bodies. We all have that in common. Yep. And, our health depends on how we take care of them. So I don't know. I think, like I said, all of that I hope is helpful to somebody who may struggle with the fact that maybe you just don't give yourself enough time. You don't think you deserve it, or you can allow yourself that. Maybe you haven't thought about that long-term impact. Like you said, Kori, that, you gotta take those small steps one at a time, and it accumulates, and you'll get better at it. You'll like it even more. You'll enjoy the results down the road. Yeah. But I like every single thing about it end to end. So
I do too, Joe. And if I look over the course of my life, when I started, I was moving since I've been a little kid, and doing gymnastics and basketball and different things. More organized training I started when I was 14, just out of sheer curiosity. Oh, there's a weight training class available when I'm a freshman in high school? I'm going to do that. And I was the only girl doing it. But since then, it has just been a regular part of my life. It's not even a question. It's the first thing I want to do when I get up in the morning. And it does, for me, I look at it as my personal therapist in many ways. And in a lot of ways, it's meditative. Exercise is not meditation, but it's meditative for me. And I've done I've tried a bunch of different things. And I think it's important to understand too that, and be okay with the fact that you may transition into different types of training over the course of your life, just depending on how your life is and where your body is and health is. I think the thing that saddens me the most is I see people, and I've had clients who, they're regular trainers. They exercise regularly, and then something happens, and one day turns into 2 days, turns into 3 days, turns into 4 days, turns into 5, 6, and they've missed an entire year. There could be a lot of reasons for that, but I think all of us need to go into it too with the understanding that the longer we let it go, the harder it's going to be to bring it back. So, okay, miss a day. That's totally fine. Just know that it's going to take that much more effort and coaxing and planning, especially if you're just getting started, to move again. So I think that's an important piece. Would you agree?
Yeah, and that's part of my, I think, intellectualizing it over that long haul. I know I can take off a couple of days and probably even be better for it because I can use that recovery. But over time, yes, it's an investment. And when I look at what it means to my health, what it means to my overall well-being, I know if I miss that long enough or start putting gaps in there that I don't want to be in there, I just allow it to happen, I'm going to suffer at the very core of who I am. There's nothing in my life that's going to be better because I'm not training, but rather almost every part of my life will probably be worse because I'm not physically healthier.
Your mental health, your relationships.
Absolutely. 100%.
Your career, work capacity, focus, clarity. You name it, it's probably declining.
Everything improves when you are physically healthier. I challenge you to find one thing that's better because you're healthier, or worse, I should say.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. I hope that helps you with your New Year's resolutions, if that was part of yours. And even if you're an advanced training person, you're an athlete already, maybe this is the year where you're going to step it up and challenge yourself into even new things. That's always even part of my goal set, Kori. There's always that next thing I'm trying to accomplish, which is, I think, very helpful.
Yeah. I've got a competition scheduled in March and then one in June. Everything now, when I have those out there kind of staring at me, is towards those things. I have that carrot. If I'm riding in 35-degree weather, guess what? I'm just getting hardier for the suck. I mean, quite literally. Every even small challenge now this is to get stronger. So.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we hope that helps, and we're going to catch you again next time. Thanks for watching and listening.
Thanks, guys.